I don't know if it's in there as far as I'd like it to be, but it's definitely in there. Okay. Oops. Okay, so for the next step, we're gonna dive into our chassis bag here. So let me get that open. Got our chassis tub, screws. I don't know what that is. I have no clue what that is. This looks like a waterproof, like a gasket for where the servo goes. We've got some silicone grease. More electronic guard components. Don't know what that is. This looks like a battery tie down. Motor thing. Motor plate. Anodized aluminum antenna tube. Don't know what that is. Don't know what that is. It's a running theme here. Don't know what that is. No idea what this is, but this looks like something that would definitely get lost. That's a servo horn, I know that. Okay, that's the bag. So let's organize what we've got here. I really don't know what this is. And why is it clear? Okay. I'm gonna lose this piece, guaranteed. Okay, this chassis tub, it's not metal, obviously. It is a little bit denser than some of the other, like the black plastic parts, though. It feels a lot more rigid. It's not flexible at all, but that also leads me to believe that it would be prone to cracking if you hit something hard enough and snapping into pieces. It's made in Taiwan. It's got all the patents and whatnot. Low voltage detection on. So it looks like some instructions for the speed control there. But yeah, overall I think this feels pretty good. Feels tough, feels sturdy. So, and it does look like the driveline components are shielded, so maybe I don't have to worry too much about that plastic drive shaft, but we will see. Okay. Oh, so this is a drive shaft cover, so you can see the drive shaft. Interesting. Interesting. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's see, motor mount. So got our motor mount there. We need to get our screw bag open. This little thing is a telemetry magnet holder. So maybe I can put like a speedometer or something on there. But it looks like it goes... See, I'm already gonna lose it. Looks like it kind of slides in there somehow. Oh. Yeah, so that fits in there kind of odd, but does make sense once you get it in there. And then it gets this little flush mount guy. Okay, so once we get that, then looks like this nut slides down in here. Oh, fits in there nice and snug. So we've got our chassis tub here. This looks like it goes in there like that. So we got 2 screws in the top and 1 in the bottom. So now it looks like after that we need to go to our electronics bag. Steering servo, waterproof. It's a plastic spline on there, so prone to stripping, but we're getting back into it. 2.4 gigahertz. I mean, I've said it before, this thing is light. Now granted, it doesn't have any batteries in it, but this feels very cheap. But I mean, it's 2.4 gigahertz, it's got trim on there, so it gets the job done. Back when I was into RC, I remember Spectrum, they were like the first ones to make a 2.4 gigahertz radio, and that was when it was really starting to become kind of the standard, the norm, getting away from the crystals. But it's good that everything's 2.4 now, so you don't have to worry about anybody jumping frequencies and stuff. So but yeah, this feels pretty cheap. But I'm glad it was included because I don't have a radio, so until I upgrade, this is gonna do just fine. So we're gonna set that to the side. It's our little receiver. Looks like it's got a three channel receiver right off the bat. So that's cool. Well, looks 4 channel, but channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. It's been a while, but yeah, 3 channels. That's cool. Set that to the side. Here's our stock speed control, with a new type Traxxas battery connector. If I'm not mistaken, and I probably am mistaken, but the old classic one, I think Traxxas had created that as well, so I don't know if this is a new standard or what, but it's definitely different than what I'm used to. It looks like we used to put Dean's plugs on ours, you know, snip the existing Traxxas thing on there and put Dean's plugs, which were supposed to have like little to no resistance. So it looks like maybe they just upgraded to something that's very similar to the Dean's plug. So this looks and feels kind of cheap, but I mean, again, it's an included waterproof speed control, so I can't complain a whole lot. But I'm excited to get that in there. It's already got some motor plugs. So, and we looked at the servo, waterproof. So we're going to be taking our servo, looks like, and cord to the front. That sits on there very nicely. I think I over tightened that one. That definitely felt like it was getting over tightened. That's an interesting setup there with the servo kind of on the outside. Never seen anything like that. But then again, now that I think about it, the way that the suspension components, it looks like it's still kind of guarded, but still kind of out in the open. But it is waterproof, so we'll put that name to the test. Now we need to put the battery hold down, and it looks like the drive shaft cover, battery post. So it looks like the battery post goes in here. Okay. Now we need to get the drive shaft cover in place. Looks like goes on like that. 3x6 and a 3x15. I feel like I'm tightening it too much, so I'm gonna leave it where it's at. Okay, I think I screwed up because it looks like this battery hold down retainer goes in there first, but thankfully it looks like I can squeeze it. So it kind of flexes to move out of the way. That is kind of cool how you can see the drive shaft and it's still, you know, fairly protected, or the spinning of it protects the inside in case it starts getting wet or something like that, starts spinning fluid all over the place. I wonder how many iterations I had to go through before they decided to implement that. That's good. So with the battery post in there, looks like our battery hold down 25, 23. So this actually looks directional, like it can accommodate a larger battery. And I think there was another one, an extra one in one of the bags for maybe even a larger battery. But since I don't have the battery in just yet, I don't think it matters that much right now. So that goes down, and then there's an angled body clip. It goes in there like that. So that's going to secure our battery. Now it looks like we're going to put the speed control into the chassis. And you can probably hear the rain, but it is raining right now. So let's see, this looks like this goes like this, and then we need two 3x15 screws. Take that like that. Okay, so that's our speed control installed into the chassis. Now, looks like we're going to get our lower receiver box. That's in there snugly. Okay, receiver foam tape. Let's get that open. So it's just double-sided tape. Perfectly cut for the receiver. Okay, so we're just gonna place this in there. Don't want to damage it or anything. Okay, so we got that in there. Bundle excess wires in receiver box. Route wires through receiver box cover. Alright, so I'm going to thread the antenna wire through this tube first. Don't think it's going to go all the way through. But it wants me to put this in there like that, it looks like. And then there is a tiny little screw that then gets threaded in there. I'm guessing to hold the antenna tube in place. I don't know how well that's gonna do. It actually does pretty good. So it probably threads into the plastic there. That's a pretty smart way of doing that. Now, I mean, you notice if you haven't built an RC car since the 80s, you'll notice that the antenna doesn't come all the way out, but with these 2.4 gigahertz radios, that's not necessary. So the antenna doesn't have to be as long. Okay, what? But how? All right. Unless I'm making a mistake, something needs to be said about this, okay? Because if we look at our instructions, here it's telling you to put the receiver in. Now, the antenna cable on the receiver is not removable. It's telling you to put the receiver into the lower box, and then we're gonna install the foam, and we're gonna route the wires through the box, right? Next, it wants you to put the antenna tube on the antenna wire. But then next, it wants you to put this O-ring seal on there. You can't slide this O-ring seal. It doesn't, that's not how this works. Because I just put the antenna cable in there. So I can't magically open this seal. It's solid. So now I have to take the antenna out in order to rethread that antenna wire. These connections for the servo and the speed control, those pop out, that's fine. But I don't know why it would tell you to thread that antenna wire on there first. That doesn't make any sense, Traxxas. All right, now let's try that step one more time. This time without the oops. This is like impossibly precarious. Okay, I think I got that. I also hope I didn't over tighten that, but all right, so now and the wires aren't too terribly bent or tugged or anything, so it looks like upper receiver box foam. So this is our upper receiver box foam. A tight fit. Now, the instructions say apply a small bead of grease. I don't know how comfortable I am doing that. I don't want to get grease all over my wires. And part of me feels like that's just so it's, you know, submergible or something. And it's also probably, I mean, they can't claim it's waterproof if it's not waterproof, so I'm gonna avoid the grease for now. Hopefully that decision doesn't come to bite me. But yeah, I am gonna be a little OCD and clean, not getting any grease on my cables. But I guess having a little grease on there is better than getting some water in there, that's for certain. I'm gonna put some faith in this foam though. It's already a lot more than I would have done back in the early 2000s as far as waterproofing is concerned. I remember putting components in balloons. That was the thing. For a little bit of waterproofing. Okay, that's all solid. That actually feels pretty good. Let's see, I got the antenna cap. Hey, that looks pretty legit. Completed chassis assembly. All right, so there you have it. Completed chassis assembly. Looks pretty clean. I got to give it to Traxxas. This is coming together pretty good. All right. Looks like we're gonna start getting it together. So suspension and driveline. It says center driveline bag. All right, got our center driveline bag. Drive shaft, plastic drive shaft. I mean, whoop, whoop. We'll see how that works out. Some bearings. Looks like some sort of clutch, friction clutch. Spur gear, 54 tooth. And I don't know what that is. All right, slipper friction material install. So let's get this bag open. One of the coolest things, one of the things I really enjoyed seeing work was my Nitro TC3 had a 2-speed gearbox, which was basically like, it was like a second gear that had like a slipper clutch on it, and it would engage and you could hear it changing gears as the speed increased. And I mean, just the sound of it driving across a parking lot at top speed, and it was super duper cool. It's one of my favorite RC things ever. I'm gonna leave this stuff in it. Well, actually, I'm gonna take it out. Okay. Slipper friction material install. Looks like it goes on here. Okay. So it says tighten the slipper clutch adjusting nut clockwise until the slipper clutch adjusting spring fully collapses. Do not over tighten, and then turn the slipper clutch nut counterclockwise 1 full turn. So I'm going to use this and just get it on there like that. Okay, and you can kind of see there's a little bit of slack in there. Not a whole lot. I wonder if 1 turn was enough, but I mean, mainly I think this is there to protect components, not necessarily be loose, so we're gonna hope that that's good. All right, so next we're gonna put the drive hub on there. went in there and got nice and tight, so no way I could over tighten that. Okay, so that's our center drive line spur gear together. Okay, so small issue. In order to get the servo horn on there, we need to turn the steering, we need to turn the system on so that it centers the servo, so that we know that it's centered in order to put the horn on there. I don't have the battery yet, so I can't power this part of it up, but we can skip this step, skip this part with the steering link, because it looks like the steering link actually attaches from the bottom, so we might be able to skip that entirely until we get the battery. But I'm gonna go ahead and keep going until I get to a point where it seems like that's going to become a hindrance, and then yeah, so that'll be that. Yep, that goes on there like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna take this, help if we had the right attachment. Okay, so it says here that there's an aluminum center drive shaft as an accessory, so I imagine that's going to be something I'm going to look into soon, because I can't imagine this drive shaft lasting too long. This thing feels really flimsy. Okay, that feels nice and snug. There's no play in it, which is nice. Okay, that's really nice. It's only connected via these 4 screws, but it feels really solid. There's no play. Those screws are pretty beefy. Plus, I mean, being able to take this whole front end off with just those 4 screws is kind of nice. Let's hope that and I mean, it creates a triangle here, so I would imagine that's actually pretty strong. I'm not gonna worry about that a whole lot. It's only slightly concerning that most of the steering components and part of the driveline is exposed there, but I don't know. We will see. We'll see how that holds up. So we're gonna flip that over. It says, note, the slipper clutch drive hub seats into the center shaft. So there's our drive hub, and you can kind of see down in there into the shaft. So this might actually be easier where we can see it. That's as far as it'll go, but I mean, it is in there. I don't know if it's in there as far as I'd like it to be, but it's definitely in there. Okay. Oops. But it's definitely in there. Okay. So I think they're talking about getting this part under there, which isn't going to be the easiest thing in the world. Come on. There we go. Okay. Okay, yeah, and our drive shafts are moving, so that's made it up correctly. Let's get these screws in there. Electronics bag. So there's our 12 turn Titan 550. It's been a while since I've held one of these. So we're gonna take our motor plate and just mate that up there and get it screwed in. I'll install a 9-tooth pinion onto motor. So that go in there like that. So it says 3 millimeters from the edge. Okay, so that is a 3 millimeter gap there. Tighten that screw down. Okay, that's good. Kind of slides into place, and that's how that goes. Okay, so then I'm going to take our screw here, I'm going to use the Allen wrench just because it's a little bit easier to get down in there. Got my tiny strip of paper. I'm going to feed that down in there like that. And then I'm going to push the motor into place. It says slide the motor and pinion into gear, into the spur gear, retighten the motor screws, then remove the paper. So I'm retightening my motor there. Now, even though that's a lock nut in there, this definitely feels like the kind of thing that might come loose over time. I also don't want to over tighten it, even though I'm pretty sure that's exactly what I'm doing. But our motor's not sliding, so that's important. Now, the paper should come out. Now, it shouldn't rip, it should just come out. And that's exactly what it did. So now, yep, there's a tiny little gap in there, so it's perfect. All right, that's a good method. So we're going to put this wire hold down cap after we plug the motor into our ESC. Okay, so I don't want the wires to be like pinched, but they're in there and they're held down pretty secure, nice and clean. So that's gonna work. A little worried about the black one there, but it doesn't seem too pinched. Okay, so then we're gonna put this hold down on there. That's our body mount bag. Bunch of screws. I'm gonna go ahead and put these on first. So that thing's mostly together. All I gotta do now is glue the tires and get the tires on. So these are pretty beefy. It's got some measurements on there. Nice chrome wheel. TRX Max 2.8. It's been a while again, but tires and wheels were another really cool place to do some customization on your RC car. So I'm excited to get back into finding wheels and tire combinations and doing that sort of stuff. But let's get these on there. They are directional, so pay attention to that. Okay, now it looks like an RC truck. Yeah. This is gonna be fun. I really like the size of it. I think I would have been not necessarily unhappy, but getting back into RC, having a truck that was any bigger than this probably would have intimidated me. I really wanted an axial Yeti XL, but they became unavailable by the time I was ready to actually get something. So this is exciting. So now we just gotta wait for the battery to come in, and then once we get the battery in, I think we can get this thing out there and get it going. Let's put the body on. Now we still gotta paint this, so that'll be fun, but we can at least test it out. I got a little flap there. Now this might sound odd, but I used to like to customize everything about the RC car. I mean, it was so much fun to do all different kinds of things, and even like body clips. We had some really special looking body clips, and getting some of those was enough to excite me. So that's that. That is the completed Traxxas Stampede. Built from scratch, built from a box of parts. It came together really well. It's really solid. I like the way it looks. It's a great size for me right now, and I am super excited to get this out there and actually see how it does.